Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond the Evidence. This is the channel where justice matters. My name is Mark. I am a true crime fanatic, and I love to dig deeper into the mysteries of unsolved cases. Join me as we search for missing persons, uncover the clues in unsolved murders, follow along with jury trials, and we'll be a voice for the voiceless. I'll share with you the facts, the theories, the clues, the evidence, and the controversies that surround these cases. This is Beyond the Evidence. Good evening, everyone. It's that time again. Let's bring in my co-host. Hello, Andrea.
Hello. Give me a second. I gotta let the stupid dogs out.
All right. It's Monday again. Goodness gracious, these weeks are flying by. Okay, I'm trying something different with my mouse so it's not so loud.
I'm back.
Good evening, Mark. How are you? Andrea, you said hey, everybody. Jinx is in the house. Jill Mosier, how are you? So, and we've got more people watching. And that's good. You don't have to chat. We're okay with that. But if you should want to ask any questions, you'll have to jump in the chat or go to the Facebook page and type it in anonymously. So, oh, this last name's going to kill me.
Kochenderfer.
We are going to read the deposition of Dan Kochenderfer. Now, who is Dan, Andrea?
He's one of Kyle's friends.
Yes.
Kyle Neff.
Kyle Neff's friend. Jinx says, welcome y'all. Please hit that thumbs up and please subscribe. Yes, absolutely. Please do so. Hello, Alonda. Nice to see you.
Sounds like my dogs are trying to kill each other.
Well, I'm looking. It sounded like one of the animals opened the door, but they must not have.
The animals are going to be issues tonight, apparently.
That.
I even fed them right before, so they wouldn't be in my butt.
So, like we said, we're going to read Dan Kochenderfer. It's 35 pages, regular pages.
Regular pages.
Thank goodness. Just says the oral examination was taken in a criminal action now pending in the Hamilton Superior Court number 1 of Hamilton County, state of Indiana, wherein state of Indiana is the plaintiff and Elizabeth J. Balser is the defendant. And once again, we have Jay Rich from the prosecutor's office, Robert Alden. I would assume Dan Kochenderfer should be on there, but hey.
Yeah, they got him listed down further as the deponent.
Hey, blue-eyed trucker and bossy, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. Like we said, we are reading Dan Kochenderfer's deposition. He is a friend of Kyle Neff. And if you remember, Kyle Neff was one of the individuals that was arrested and had a plea deal, went from murder to battery.
Yep. And I got a funny feeling we'll probably be stopping a lot during this one and talking.
Yes, we will. I can see it already.
Yeah.
Bossy, all is good with us, so we're doing good. All right, let's start.
Hang on.
Oh,
Let me get these yahoos inside.
okay.
Real quick second.
So, as a review for some of you, we are reading the depositions in the trial of Elizabeth J. Balser, who was tried in the murder of Tabitha Shuck Raines. This happened in 2002. On October 2nd, 2002, she went missing. And on October 5th, 2002, she was found in the Cicero Creek in the Tipton City Park. We do have a playlist, so if you have missed any of the episodes, please go to the main YouTube page for Beyond the Evidence, click on the playlists, and you can listen to them all there. Right now, we are on episode 39.
Yes. A lot.
Yes. And I have scheduled out tomorrow's and even next week's. So they are out there and ready to go. Although, now that I think of it, next Monday, we may have to change the time because I think I have a band meeting for parents. I'll double check.
What? You're a parent?
Yeah. All right. Let's get started.
All righty. Jay Rich is speaking. We're present in the Tipton County Prosecutor's Office. Present in the room is Bob Alden, Elizabeth Balser's attorney, Jay Rich, Tipton County Prosecutor, and Dan, I'll let you pronounce your last name for us.
Daniel Kochenderfer.
Daniel Kochenderfer.
Uh-huh.
Dan, please raise your right hand. After being duly sworn to you to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, was examined and testified as follows. Questions by Mr. Alden. Okay, where do you live, Dan?
Kokomo, Indiana.
What's the zip code there?
46902.
Are you employed?
Yes, Olive Garden, Kokomo.
What do you do there?
I'm a server.
How long have you been there?
Approximately 8 months.
Is there just one Olive Garden in Kokomo?
Yes.
How old are you, Dan?
40.
Are you married?
Divorced.
Do you have children?
Yes.
How many?
5.
You have any criminal history?
Yeah.
What's that consist of?
Child support.
Anything else?
4 years ago, DUIs.
Anything else?
No.
No crimes relating to theft or dishonesty or anything like that. No shoplifting, no theft cases.
Shoplifting when I was 15.
Nothing else?
No.
Now, you've talked to the police and talked to Mr. Rich, and so I've been provided some of the information that you've given to them by way of statements and things. But obviously, the purpose of this deposition is for me to get a detailed statement as to exactly what significance any knowledge you may have as to the whole case, okay? So no trick questions here. I'm just interested in the facts.
Okay.
That's what it's all about. So anyway, Dan, as I know it, you are a friend of Kyle Neff's. Is that correct?
An acquaintance. Yeah. Friend. Uh-huh.
How did you meet him?
I was in jail for child support in the Tipton County Jail for child support, and he was in the same cell that I was, and he befriended me, and that's how I met him, in jail.
How long were you in jail for that?
1 full year. Oh, a year here in Tipton.
1 full year?
Yeah, on work release. I worked at Jim Dandy's and then went back to the jail at night.
And this was long before Tabitha Raines was killed. Is that correct?
Yes.
When was it you were actually in jail?
It was a few years ago. I'm trying to remember those dates. The year 2001 to 2002.
Do you know when you got out?
It was November.
You got out of jail in November of 2002.
Or 2001. I'm not sure. I can't remember the dates.
Do you remember when Neff got out?
Approximately like 5 months before me in March. I believe it was March or April.
So you met him then, and then after you got out in November, you contacted him or something?
He actually came when I got out. He actually came to Jim Dandy's to help me move some furniture over to my new place on Green Street.
Here in Tipton?
Yeah, in Tipton.
And he just happened to come in to get something to eat, or did you call him?
No, he came to help me. He knew I was getting out that day, and he offered his services as far as helping me move some furniture over to my place.
All right. And then that would have been in November of 2002?
Uh-huh.
Now, at that point in time, Tabitha Raines' body had already been found.
Okay, it's 2001. I'm sorry.
So that would have been 2001.
2001.
So you were in then in 2000 and 2001?
Right. Correct. Sorry about that.
That's all right. So at that point in time, when you got out, Tabitha Raines' murder had not occurred.
Correct.
Now you're out and Neff comes help you move, and you continue to have association with him later?
Yeah, he continues to call me, and I go over to his house and newborn son and helped him clean up and, do laundry, help him do the responsible things because his wife, Amanda, was really kind of lazy and didn't really like to do housework. So I helped him like that. And he more befriended me like a father figure. And I treated him like a son that I was trying to help out. Kind of that relationship. And he'd call me all the time and talk to me. We became pretty, as far as friendship, yeah. It wouldn't be someone I'd meet off the street and go, yeah, let's befriend him. But it turned out that way. Met Debbie and did some things around the restaurant for Debbie and helped him out with the house a lot, cleaning up and laundry and all that stuff.
Now let's go to October of 2002, okay?
Okay.
That's when this murder took place, or Tabi actually became missing. And so do you remember the dates in October?
It's fuzzy.
Do you remember hearing about her being missing or anything like that?
Uh-huh.
Where were you living during that period of time?
I was living at South Independence Apartment 3 with a girl named Jennifer Gall that I met at work.
In October, around the second day of October or third day of October that week, do you remember hearing that Tabitha Raines was missing, or did you not hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Did you know her?
Acquaintance. I've met her.
You had met her.
I've met her.
Where had you met her?
I met her while I worked at McDonald's. She worked there. And when I was over at Kyle and Amanda's house down on 28, on the corner of 28 and 31, she come over before.
So
I really don't know her, but I, had met her.
So you were at Kyle and Amanda's when Tabitha was there?
Yeah.
Was Amanda there at the same time, or just you and Kyle and her?
It was Amanda, Kyle, and Tabitha and me.
And how did Tabitha get over there?
I think Amanda picked her up.
And
then Mike came over, her husband. Mike was with her. He didn't come over separately.
When did you find out that she was missing? How did you find out?
I don't remember the exact date, but I found out by Kyle calling me up at work and saying that Tabitha was missing. I don't know exactly the date, but that's how I found out that she was missing. Kyle had told me.
And do you remember the conversation well as you were sitting here today, or do you not remember that conversation well?
I don't remember it well.
Do you remember the basic content of the conversation?
Yeah, all Kyle said was Tabitha's missing.
So you think he called you specifically to give you that information?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, by the way.
No, it was specifically for that purpose.
And what did you say to him, if you remember?
I said, well, have the police been called? I asked Kyle if he had seen her or if he had any idea.
What did he say to that?
He said no. That's all I remember about the conversation.
Did he seem concerned, or did he just want to inform you, or?
He seemed concerned.
Matter of fact, or was he scared, or?
He seemed, if I can remember, it's fuzzy. He was concerned, and he just said it with urgency, like Tabitha's missing.
You do remember that?
Yeah, he was urgent to tell me that. And at the point, I remember feeling like, well, she's just, probably off with her friends or something. I really didn't think, me personally, I didn't think anything was wrong, I thought it was just.
Now, do you think it was the day after she came up missing, or let me just give you the background. And I'm sure you've heard about this. Allegedly, she left home in the evening and then did not return. So was it the next, and nobody would have known she was missing until the next day? So it would have been the day that anybody first discovered that she was missing?
The day after he dropped off his helmet.
Is when he called you?
Is when he called me, yeah.
Okay, let's get into the helmet thing. What's the helmet deal all about?
That's what confuses me too. He came to my house. The time was in the afternoon. It might have been 3:20, 20 till 4, around that area. I had to go to work and I was getting dressed for work, and he knocked at the door and he was riding his motorcycle and he goes, Dan, can I leave my helmet here? And I said, why? And he goes, well, I just don't want to wear it. I go, well, I'm going to work, and if you want it back, you're not going to be able to get in and get your helmet. So just leave it in the laundry room underneath there's like a little cabinet where you put your laundry detergent. I said, just stick it in the cabinet. That way you can go in there and get it whenever you need it back. You won't have to worry about waiting for me to get home from work. And he said, okay. And that was the last I saw of him.
Now, he was on his motorcycle at that time.
Uh-huh.
And why did he say he wanted to leave his helmet?
He didn't say. He just said he didn't want to wear it. That's all he said to me, was he didn't want to wear it.
Was it normal for him to wear a helmet, or not normal for him to wear a helmet?
He told me something like the fact that he got pulled over for riding a motorcycle without a helmet. So it was normal for him not to wear a helmet. And he started wearing a helmet, I guess, because the police pulling him over and telling him to wear a helmet. And then for some reason, he drops it off at my house because he doesn't want to wear it. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know why he dropped it off at my house.
That was never a question you asked him?
Yeah, it was like I asked him why, and he said, I don't want to wear it. And I said, okay. And I was getting ready for work, busy, It's like, just drop it off in the freaking laundry room and do whatever you've got to do.
So then did he ever come back for it?
I was at work, so I don't know.
Well, the next day, was it there?
No, So he could have come back and got it.
And you don't know when he came back?
No.
When did you go to work?
I had to be there at 4.
And you got off work when?
10 o'clock.
Did you come back home that night?
Yeah.
Did you stay there?
Yeah, I was with Jennifer.
Was Jennifer at home?
Uh-huh.
So Jennifer knows Kyle came back and got the helmet.
She might. I don't know.
So all you know is around 3:10 in the afternoon, or between 3:10 and 3:30, he dropped the helmet off.
Right.
And you never saw him again until you talked to him the next day.
Yeah, he called me at work.
And then he had that conversation about Tabitha being missing.
Right.
And then was there any other discussion about anything after that about Tabitha being missing?
No.
You know, there was a time period when his name was out and about before he got arrested as being a suspect in this case. Were you aware of that?
Uh-huh.
So you being his mentor or surrogate father or whatever you want to say, he never discussed that with you privately, what he thought about that?
Yeah, I asked him point blank if he had anything to do with it. I said, I cannot. I'm going to go straight to the police if you tell me anything. I mean, it was like I had to know. If I'm going to even associate with someone that has anything to do with a murder case, it's going to the police. And he swore up and down that he had nothing to do with it, you know. He told me that he saw her at Village Pantry and she was asking for drugs. She told her mom that she was going to visit a grandma in the hospital.
When did he say he saw her at Village Pantry?
He said he saw her right after he left my house, dropped off the helmet, went to Village Pantry, saw her at Village Pantry. This is what Kyle told me.
When did he tell you this?
I don't remember when he told me, but...
Well, because you just testified that you talked to him the next day.
He didn't tell me the next day. He just told me that he...
You said Kyle called me at work and said Tabitha was missing, said it with urgency. And then you said, I asked him if he had seen her, and he told you he had not seen her at all.
Uh-huh.
Not seen her after she was missing, or, I mean, obviously she wouldn't be missing if he saw her.
After she was not missing. After she was missing.
After she was missing. Obviously, he had seen her after she was missing. She wouldn't be missing. I mean...
See, the dates, I don't know if he called me up the next day after he dropped the helmet off or if it was the following day. The dates are fuzzy for me. But I do remember him telling me that he saw her after he dropped the helmet off at the apartment. He saw her at the Village Pantry parking lot, and this was right after he left my apartment, which would put it right in the vicinity of about 4 o'clock-ish, around that area in the afternoon.
And he told you that she was looking for drugs at that time?
Uh-huh.
And who was she with, did he say?
He said that she was with some other girl that he didn't know.
Did you know that he supplied her? Did you know that he supplied her with drugs occasionally?
No.
Did you ever see her do drugs at Kyle's house?
Yeah, I saw her smoke pot.
Did you ever see her do cocaine?
No.
Did you ever get the idea that Kyle was having a sexual relationship with her?
Yes.
How did you get that idea?
He told me.
What did he say?
He said that her and Amanda had a threesome.
That he, Amanda, and Tabi had a threesome.
Uh-huh.
And when did he tell you about that?
I don't remember.
I mean, was it close to the time that she was missing, or, and this is kind of critical, so if you know, I want you to answer. If you don't know, then just say you don't know.
I really am trying to, let me think here. This was before she was missing, I know that. He started developing feelings for her, and Amanda may have sensed it. And she was getting kind of jealous about it.
So he told you that also?
He told me that also. And then Mike, Tabitha, Kyle, and Amanda were over at Kyle's house. I was there watching Skylar while they were partying, smoking pot, and drinking. The 4 of them were going to have a foursome. Tabitha decided not to, so it ended up where Mike and Tabitha slept downstairs, and Kyle and Amanda went back upstairs and fell asleep. Kyle told me that he would take Tabitha out on a ride on the motorcycle, and they would go, I forget. Oh yeah, they'd go to her house where she lived with Mike and have sexual relations. Of course, he said this in confidence to me. He didn't want Amanda to know about it because they were getting married, and they had a kid together.
Now, how long do you think this was before? Was this ongoing, or was this just recently or soon before she became missing? Or do you have any recollection of the time period?
I don't know the time period, but I just know that he told me all this before she was missing. I just don't know the exact time period when he told me. But it was before all this happened where she was missing. He had told me all this. And I remember going to pick up, me and Amanda went to pick up Tabitha at McDonald's because she was freaking out or something over Mike. And we picked her up at McDonald's that afternoon and she was crying.
What afternoon?
I can't remember exactly what afternoon that was.
Who was freaking out now?
Tabitha over relationship with Mike because she was thinking that he was going to leave her for another girl, and he was always getting on her case about something she didn't do, and that young love thing going where there was friction and she was like, oh, she wanted to kill herself. That's what she kept saying over and over again. I hardly knew her. I was just sitting in the back seat going, oh my gosh, she's got some major problems. She's a 15-year-old and got a kid and trying to become a mother. And she's got these she was going through a really bad emotional time. And Amanda was with us. Amanda was driving. Tabitha was in the front seat and she was picking up her last check at McDonald's.
Who was?
Tabitha picking up a check. I don't know if it was her last check or not, but she was voicing her emotions towards Mike, and their relationship was on the rocks. And she felt suicidal because of the pressure of motherhood and the pressure of having a relationship were getting to her. Amanda was trying to console her the best she could,
Well, there was a long time period when Amanda and Tabitha had a problem with each other. They kind of stopped seeing each other for a long time. Do you know about that? Don't know anything about that. This time when Amanda was driving, Tabitha was picking up her check for McDonald's and she was emotional about Mike. Did you know it at this time? Was this before or after Kyle was having sexual relations?
This was after.
So just in your mind, what was going on here? How could she be so upset about Michael having this affair when she was out?
How could Amanda be so jealous over Tabitha when they have a threesome? These things don't make sense to me either.
But these are all things that you observed during this time period?
Huh?
These are all things that you thought about during this period of time?
And observed, yes.
Did you ever talk to Kyle about these issues? What did he have to say about that? Did you say, Kyle, when I was with Amanda, Tabitha was going crazy. She thinks Michael's leaving. You're having sex with her. What's going on here? I mean, did you talk?
Yeah, I talked to him that way.
What did he say?
He said he can't help who he has feelings for.
I said, well, no, this is still you.
I said, well, you've got to make a choice. You can't have Tabitha and Amanda. You have a child with Amanda. He goes, well, I love Amanda and I love Tabitha.
Do you know if Amanda ever found out about it?
Not that I know of, but I think she had like an intuition about it.
Why do you think that?
Because she was jealous.
She was jealous about what?
About any interactions between Kyle and Tabitha.
Did you hear her express that?
No, I didn't hear her express it. I heard Kyle express what she expressed to Kyle. And then Kyle told me how she felt.
Did Kyle ever tell you that Amanda had approached him and ask him whether he was having sex with Tabitha?
Not sex. Do you have feelings for her, basically?
Once again,
It seems like these kids, they don't have sex, and feelings are separate to them. It's like meaningless sex. But it's like if you have feelings for them, it's a different thing. You know, they can have a threesome, without feelings, which doesn't make sense to me. I wasn't grown up that way. But if you get feelings and then it turns into, something that's more serious than just having sex.
do you remember the time period where Kyle said to you that Amanda was questioning his emotions about Tabitha?
Time period. Oh gosh, I can't. I'd be lying if I said I knew the time period.
How did Amanda wear her hair?
How did she wear her hair?
Uh-huh.
Well, just curly, frizzed. And sometimes she'd wear a bandana to keep her. She had a nervous habit of picking her hair all the time.
Was it long or short?
Short. She's always had short hair. There's times when, I don't know if Kyle got well as far as his past history. And I've seen him really drunk after the murder, really drunk. And I've asked him square in the eye if he had anything to do with it. And he said no. And usually when a person's that drunk and he could confide in me, that I would think that he would tell me everything, because that's something for me would be a burden to carry that guilt, and then maybe get drunk and then have a friend, quote unquote, to confide in. But he didn't. He kept saying over and over again, he had nothing to do with it. He had nothing to do with it.
Did you know Jonathan Yates to be friends?
No.
And out of a period of a month, how many days would you say you either saw Kyle or you talked to him on the phone?
In a month period?
Uh-huh.
He'd call me about every day. Yeah, a lot.
And was that from the time you got out of jail to beyond the time of Tabi missing?
Yeah, he was relentless. He called all the time.
Do you still have contact with him?
No. I haven't had contact with him since he went to jail. I wrote him one letter and that was it. And I was like, this is way too much trouble for me to handle, It's just way too much drama. So I moved back to Kokomo with my parents, got a new job, tried to just forget everything, start a new life. It was just too much drama for me.
So your moving to Kokomo had to do with the drama of Kyle.
Well, more than that. It's more than that. Well, I have a drinking problem. I'm an alcoholic, and my girlfriend kicked me out the 23rd of December. I had no place to go, so I had to stay with Kyle for a couple weeks. And then I called my parents, and they let me move back in with them.
All right. Is there anything else that you think is relevant that you've talked to the police about, or Mr. Rich about, that you think that I should know? Any other issues the police or the prosecutor questioned you about?
I'm trying to think. Well, I'm going to go visit him today. I haven't seen him or heard from him since March, and his visiting hours are from 1 to 5. And I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to look him straight in the eye and ask him again if he had anything to do with it at all, because I've heard rumors that he copped a plea of confinement or something. I don't know what it was, under the contingency that he would give information about the murder. This is what I've heard. I don't know if it's true. And that he took a lie detector test and said one of the questions was, were you at the murder scene? And he said yes, and it came up that he was lying. Well, whatever reason, he didn't have information or do his part of the bargain, and it got revoked. He's still in jail, but I guess my point is I'm going to go there today, right after I leave here, and I'm going to go talk to him. And if he says anything to me, I'll be right here, because if there's anybody that can get anything out of him, I think I can.
Just going back to make sure I've got all the information regarding his relationship with Tabi. The first time he told you about any contact, sexual contact, was when you talked about the threesome.
Uh-huh.
The foursome that was planned was after he had had the threesome with Amanda.
Right.
Did Michael know about the threesome?
That I don't know.
He didn't talk to you about that.
I don't know. I don't know if he knew. It was going to be a foursome that time where actually they were going to swap.
And Amanda is the one that backed out of it?
Amanda backed out of it.
He told you that specifically.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't Tabitha that backed out of it. It was Amanda.
Oh, it was Tabitha. Tabitha backed out. I'm sorry. Yeah, Tabi backed out. She didn't want to do that. Mike was going to have sex with Amanda and Kyle was going to have sex with Tabitha, and Tabitha backed out.
So Tabitha backed out.
Mike got really angry. I remember that. He was really angry that she...
So Tabitha backed out and Mike was mad that she backed out.
Right.
Even though Tabitha had already had sex with Kyle and Amanda.
Yeah, and I don't know if Mike knew that or not. I mean, something that screwed up, you'd think he'd know if they were going to do something like that.
Was it after that that Kyle was having individual sessions, sex with Tabi at her house?
Before that.
It was before that?
Uh-huh. He had told me before that he would take her out on the motorcycle and they would go to her house. I think Mike was either at work or at school at the time, going to mechanic school, ITT or Ivy Tech or something like that. So he wasn't there, of course.
Did he ever tell you he stopped having sexual relations with her prior to her missing? Or do you think this went on until she became missing?
I think it went on. I mean, this is just what I think. And he never told me he actually stopped having sexual relations with her.
Did he ever tell you he was thinking of leaving Amanda for Tabi?
I'm trying to think. No.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. Cross-examination questions by Mr. Rich. Dan, you mentioned that you were with Tabitha when she went out to pick up her last check, and then you clarified and said that you didn't know if it was. Why did you say that you thought it was her last check?
Because it was my last check, and I was picking up my last check, and I don't know if it was her last check or not.
You indicated that you were actually at Kyle and Amanda's house the evening that the foursome was going to take place.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Were you in the same room when they were planning this or talking about it?
No, no. This is what Kyle told me, and I was like, oh man, you guys are just crazy.
Did he tell you the night of or at some later time?
The night of.
How many times? Well, you worked with Tabitha, didn't you, at McDonald's?
Uh-huh.
For what period of time?
I worked there for approximately 2 months. I never associated with her at work. I saw her there, but I was never able to talk to her because I worked in the diner portion and she worked on the drive-through portion. So we really didn't discuss anything. I really didn't know her that well, but I'd met her, seen her, and that's about it.
You think there was anything unusual about his urgent tone when he called you to tell you that Tabitha was missing? Did that seem odd to you at all?
He seemed very scared, very urgent about it. Tabitha's missing. I thought, well, surely she's just, it seems like it was too soon to be urgent to me.
Because at that point in time, you were thinking, well, she's a kid and it's hard telling what she's up to.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I thought surely she's okay. She's just.
And Kyle told you that he saw Tabitha at the village pantry right after dropping his helmet off. Did he tell you that during that same conversation where he first informed you that she was missing?
No.
So it was a different conversation.
Uh-huh.
And how many friends did he say he saw with Tabitha at the village pantry?
He said, if I remember correctly, that there was a woman with her that he didn't know.
Did he use that term, or is that just one you're guessing at? Woman.
I'm trying to remember if he used woman.
What I'm asking, did he say another girl, or is that just your term, woman?
It's my term. I can't remember exactly if he used girl or woman, and I know it was a female that he said was with her, and they were looking for drugs.
They were looking for drugs?
Right.
That's what he said.
Yeah, they were looking for drugs.
Meaning Tabitha and this gal that she was with.
Yeah.
How many times did you see Tabitha at Kyle Neff's house where they were doing drugs, or were drugs ever being used? Tape change. Do you remember what the last question was?
Yes.
What was it?
How many times have I seen Amanda or Tabitha at Kyle's house doing drugs?
Okay, and your answer was just the one time.
Just the one time.
And that was the one time where the foursome was being discussed?
Correct. It was not being discussed, but I knew that's what they were going to try to do.
How did you know that?
Because Kyle told me prior to that evening that they were going to do that. They're wanting to do that swap or whatever you call a foursome.
Okay, when you say they were wanting to, who was he referring to? They wanting to.
Amanda, Kyle, and Mike, and Tabitha.
Which would indicate to you that they had discussed it previous to that evening.
Right. They all agreed to it. That's what it would seem like. Tabitha had backed down and she didn't want to do it. I was proud of her. I was like, this is a messed up deal. Poor Skylar. I was trying to watch Skylar and was like, this is it. I cannot deal with this stupidity anymore.
Prior to this, you described the afternoon where Kyle dropped his helmet off at your apartment.
Uh-huh.
Was that the only time that had ever happened?
Yes.
Prior to that occasion where he dropped the helmet off, how long had you known Kyle?
Since I was in jail with him.
So quite a long time? Months?
I was in the same cell for, he got out.
Let me ask you, hopefully it's a better question. How many times had Kyle since you and he were friends prior to this event we are talking about, did he stop by your apartment on his sickle?
I would say probably half a dozen times at least.
Had he ever asked to leave his helmet at your apartment prior to that day?
No, I don't think he had worn it. To the best of my recollection, I had never seen him with a helmet on.
Do you know Elizabeth Balser?
No.
Never met her?
No.
Mr. Rich, that's all.
If there's anything I can do to help you guys, just let me know, because anything.
That's it. Well, we knocked that out in 45 minutes.
Wow. All right. Let's see what everybody is saying in chat. Lollipop says, all I can say is just wow. Sounds like a lot of teenagers not thinking. But Michael's statement and deposition tells a totally different story. Who is Marv portraying? I was portraying Dan Kochenderfer. In the
a friend of Kyle Neff.
Huh?
A friend of Kyle Neff's.
Yep. In the other depositions about the foursome thing, nothing was ever brought up about this guy being there. No. The first time we're hearing that another individual was at Kyle's house is in this deposition. And if you remember, now he's saying that Tabitha backed out. But in the other depositions, it stated that...
It stated Amanda backed out.
Right. But it also stated that Tabitha went upstairs.
Yep.
And was in bed with Kyle and Amanda.
Right. Well, in the other deposition, it stated that Kyle and Amanda went upstairs. Michael and Tabitha stayed downstairs. Tabitha went upstairs. Kyle had asked if it was okay if him and Tabi did anything, and Amanda said she didn't care because she was too tired, and allegedly they did it right there in the bed with Amanda beside her,
sleeping or whatever.
right?
Right. So who actually backed out that night?
Right.
And what is the real story on what happened when this foursome was supposed to take place?
Well, and supposedly they took ecstasy.
Right. But you can't tell me that Tabitha would back out and then go upstairs and sleep with Kyle,
Right.
with Amanda in the bed.
Exactly.
So what in the world
And
happened?
another thing, if Amanda was so jealous, how could she lay there in the same bed while it was happening
Exactly.
and not stop it?
Or, like in the other depositions, this all happened earlier when they were getting along. But then they got into this argument because Amanda felt that Tabitha was trying to take Kyle away from her.
That was after they got married.
Right. And it was that when all the jealousy happened.
Well, according to Dan,
they don't specifically ask him.
Well, according to Dan, the way he made it sound was she started getting jealous, but not until after the foursome thing.
Right. Well, if you laid there next to your fiance or so-called husband and knew that he was having relations with another girl right next to you, you'd get jealous too.
It wouldn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Plain and simple. Nope. One of us would have been leaving.
Yeah. I don't get all of this. Something just doesn't make sense. With this whole foursome thing.
Well, we've heard from more than one person that Kyle had feelings for Tabitha. That Tabitha had feelings for Kyle.
Right. He basically was truly in love with both women. Didn't know who to pick. And then this happened to Tabitha, and he married Amanda. Now, had this not happened to Tabitha, would he have ended up with Tabi?
I think so. My opinion.
You know, her and Michael were obviously having a lot of issues. Even though he says they were at the best time in their lives at that period, which I don't believe for a minute, because we've heard of him cheating on her. We know
during the marriage.
During the marriage, throughout the marriage, after the marriage. We've heard several people state they've seen her crying and it was all about Michael. We know that Tabi, 2 weeks before she went missing, made the comment, if something happens to me, the people responsible for it are in the diaper bag, meaning a picture. And it was a picture of Tabi, Michael, Drake, and Kyle.
What's even more confusing is Tabitha was so mad and upset and thinking that Michael was going to leave her for another girl. And she knew he was messing around on her.
Right.
But yet she turned around and did the exact same thing.
Right. I think things were so bad at that point that.
But here's the thing. We know that Kyle and Amanda and Tabitha had a threesome before she was pregnant with Drake.
Right. Right. But we've also been told that she truly loved Michael and wanted him to stop with all the drugs and using, selling, whatever. She wanted him to stop and be a husband and a father. So, was the whole Kyle thing to make Michael jealous? And at the same time, Kyle was giving her attention that she was craving and wanting from Michael?
I guess that depends on when Michael had the first affair. Because she had the threesome with Kyle and Amanda before Drake was born, or before she was pregnant with Drake.
And Mark does bring up a good point. She had allegedly did the same. She's not here to vouch for herself. That info is coming from Michael and Kyle. But you have Dan here also stating it.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just Michael and Kyle, I could actually say that this may not have happened, because that has come across my mind that they could have lied about this whole threesome and the foursome thing, just to make it
To cover their ass.
And make it look confusing,
Right.
But why is Dan saying that he was there?
And felt sorry for Skylar.
Right. I understand that Dan is stating, she backed out. And that he was proud of her for backing out. So the story of her going upstairs and climbing into bed with Kyle may not even be true. Because like you said, why would Amanda just lay there next to that and let it happen? There's no way in hell.
But there's a statement from Kyle and Amanda that say the same thing. I understand. It could be just them getting their story straight. Telling the same story. I get that.
Yeah.
But they both said the same thing. We'll never know if it was the truth or not.
Yeah, but we both think that she's involved. So of course she's going to back him up on what he's saying.
Well, yeah. But then you also have a statement from her saying that she went to the cops.
Who's her?
Amanda.
Okay.
Amanda went to the cops and said that Kyle told her that he was just going with the story with Drew to get out of jail early.
So that he could see his kids. Right.
Right.
So why is that?
Yeah, why would she go and tell the cops that?
Unless he was protecting her.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said there are a lot of things that happen that do not make sense. I think Kyle thought, "Aw, shit. one of the women that I love, was just killed. I can't let the other one go to jail.
The mother of his kid.
Right, the mother of his child. So he took the rap, made up this phony ass
There's a
claim.
lot to make up, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of shit that they had to come up with.
Not really. You've got John Yates stating he was never freaking there. You have
Right,
Elizabeth
exactly.
stating she was never freaking there. So the only two people that put them actually there is Andrew Bush and Kyle Neff. All
Right.
they have to do is coordinate their story. That's it.
Right.
And what a story. She was there with Andrew Bush. Elizabeth and I pulled in. We went down, smoked some weed, walked over. John came out from underneath the bridge. We called Tabi over. Her and Elizabeth got into it, and she shot her. And Andrew Bush ran off. Not a whole lot to remember there.
Right. But then they have to come up with the whole foursome, threesome. Michael did this, Tabitha did this. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. There's a whole lot there that they would have to think of really to make up real quick. But then we also have someone.
Hang on, that would only be between Kyle, Amanda, and Michael.
Right. And Dan.
Well, and Dan, yes. I'm not saying the foursome thing didn't happen. That part could have been true. What part I'm saying may not have happened is that Tabi actually did back out and never went upstairs to be in bed with Kyle and Amanda. Because Dan's not saying that. Dan is stating she backed out.
Right.
Never mentioned anything about going upstairs with them. He flat out said that Tabi and Mike were downstairs, Amanda and Kyle were upstairs. Yes, the bullet was checked with Balser's gun. Thanks for joining us, Jinx. I'm just saying that whole story seems something's off. And the one person that we can almost count on for telling the truth that was there is Dan. Because he's got no side agenda.
Okay, so let's go back to the whole Kyle and Drew making the story up, right? We also have,
and we have heard that Kyle and his friend went to Illinois to coach Andrew Bush on this story. Not Kyle, sorry.
Michael
and his friend went to Illinois to coach Andrew Bush on the story.
Well, was it said that they actually went to coach him, or was it that they just went to Illinois? And that's what they were assuming that they did.
No, supposedly they went to St. Louis to sell this stuff, to make some money selling the stuff. But in reality, they actually went to Illinois to coach Andrew on what to say to the police. Because before he made any statements to police.
Lollipop, yes, the bullet did match the gun. Okay, so back to the Kyle and Drew thing, making up the story, whatever, and Michael, whoever the hell made this story up.
Right.
We also have someone that has come forward and told us that Kyle and Tabi contacted them at 2 a.m. to buy more drugs.
Right. We've also been told that on the night that she was missing, Michael and a bunch of other people that he
Guys.
knew were in the back of the park earlier
Yep.
that night between
Right.
5 and 7, in and out, and that Michael was there.
Right. And so was Kyle.
Right. And we've been told that Tabi was forcibly removed from her residence with Michael being there and was taken to Kyle and Amanda's house, and that is where the shooting happened.
It wasn't Liz's gun. It was Kyle Neff's mom's gun.
Thanks, Heather. May have been. Not sure. Hello. There's definitely.
Well, but Amanda was how much older was Amanda than Tabi? 2 years?
Couple of years.
Yeah. So at the time that the threesome between Kyle and Amanda and Tabi happened, Amanda would have only been 17.
But emotionally, it's a big difference. All right, hang on a minute. No, it was not Balser's gun. It was Kyle Neff's mother's gun. Now, everything that we've been talking about is just theories, scenarios. There's no proof to any of this. You know, these are things that we're being told. And like I said, we've got to go through all this stuff and put the puzzle pieces together. Find out what's true and what's not true.
Yeah, lollipop. They won't call it a cold case.
They're calling it a closed case.
Closed. Yep, because they've already tried and acquitted somebody.
Yes, lollipop, closed. As in after Kyle Neff's plea went through and Elizabeth Balser was acquitted, the case was closed. The police feel that they had the right individuals, even though they could not convict Elizabeth Balser and they pled Neff down. They believed they had the right individuals, so the case was closed.
Basically saying the prosecutor didn't do his job.
Same thing with O.J. Simpson, Nicole Simpson, Ron Goldman. Right? He was acquitted. They consider the case closed because they believe he did it. Same thing with Casey Anthony and Kaylee Anthony. When the police arrest somebody and the prosecution takes them to court and they believe this is the person that did it, and it comes out that that person is acquitted, the police do not continue looking for the correct person or another person.
Not unless new evidence comes in.
Right. Neff ended up getting out of all
8
this.
years.
Huh? No,
8 years.
Yeah, but he only did 3.
3, right.
Yes, but, and this is a good thing, according to an author who wanted information, they did a FOIA request and was told by Jay Rich that in 2015 it was still an open case, even though we've gotten it verified through the clerk of courts and
the police department.
Few officers that this case has been closed. Yep, closed in 2006. And that was right after Kyle Neff's plea deal and everything went through. And that went to the appeals court and everything. And that's why he got out after 3 years. So it's sad. It's very sad that we still do not know the truth after 21 years. And people out there know the truth. They know it. They just will not say anything about it.
Well, at least we know we have one other person that agrees with us or thinks the same way we do.
They made a, oh, I read that one. Unless someone's conscience bothers them, we will never know the whole truth. Well, their consciences have not bothered them in 21 years. I agree, Vid. Justice for Tabitha. somebody has got to grow up and talk. And if you look at, now there's a crowd of individuals, okay, whether they're on Tabi's side or not on Tabi's side, these individuals keep getting arrested over and over and over and over again in their life. You know, and
we know one big player has been getting arrested over and over.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who that is right here and right now. Elizabeth Balser. She was just arrested again. Yet when I talked to her on the phone, she stated that she did not do this to Tabi. And that if she had been there, she would have protected Tabi and she would have been the one that was killed.
Yeah, because allegedly she had a crush on her.
Right. But she said that she was not there that night. And I flat out asked her, then why do you keep going around town saying you did it? She goes, well, you would get sick of everybody asking you if you did it. And it would just be easier to just say, yeah, I did it. Fuck off. Which I guess I can see that side of it too. So what the hell really happened here? Who is actually responsible for this? Where did it actually happen? Because you can't tell me that this happened in the park the way they said it did.
Oh, no, we know. We pretty much know that.
I would love to sit down and talk to Kyle Neff and Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'd love to sit down and talk to Andrew Bush, too. There's a lot of people on my list that I would love to sit down and talk with. So if you're watching, contact me. Because I can tell you that you're always going to look suspicious and be a suspect until this is resolved. This is going to follow you your whole life. It's not going away.
Unless they can prove otherwise.
Right. No, a lot of them are still there. They're all close by.
Matter of fact, three of the four live in Elwood.
Mm-hmm. So if you think that we're going to let this go and not keep this going until we get answers, you're wrong. This will follow you for the rest of your life. So call me, get a hold of me, tell me your side. That's what I have to say to anybody we've talked about, whether it's just a witness, somebody who heard a rumor, any of that, or somebody that actually gave a statement in a deposition. or who was rumored to be involved in this. His wife is a classmate of mine. I tried to talk to her. She won't listen to me. But that's what I'm saying right here and right now. This is not going away. I will not stop. I will keep saying her name. I will keep saying all of your names. Somebody needs to break down and tell us what happened. Because you know. All right, everyone, that is it for tonight. We will be back tomorrow with another deposition. I hope you all have a great Monday night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.